Okay, we want to get into this morning. This is a conversation that I was really wanting to have, but I was having some difficulty right away. Let me throw this caution out to you all. And I really want you to take this the right way because at first glance, it might sound like real arrogance. But let me say this. When you see that there is an intellectual handicap in a conversation you're having with an individual, don't get upset. Don't get angry. Do like Siri does or Google Map. Try to reroute the conversation so the person can acclimate themselves to what you're really trying to say. Because let me say this, y'all. Everybody is not at the same intellectual level. As arrogant as that might sound, everybody's not at the same intellectual level. So the person that is operating at a higher frequency in intellect, they need to really reroute the question so the person of lesser understanding can grasp it. Now, I know you can get into your feelings right now because there's this idea that everybody's equal. There's no big I's and little U's. Let me tell you something. I've never been any place in my life where I've ever seen people all on the same level. I've never seen that in my life. But this is something that people push, especially that study the Bible. I haven't seen people on the same intellectual level. I've never seen people on the same scholastic level, financial level. I've never seen it in my life. But guess what people teach? Everybody's equal. Men and women are equal. Babies and adults are equal. Y'all, this really don't make sense to me. I know it's a popular doctrine. Everybody's equal. Nobody's a head and nobody's a tail. But the Bible comes straight out and tell you that there are going to be a group of people that's going to be the head and not the tail. But yet everybody teaches in every field that everybody's equal. I don't understand the doctrine. And I don't understand the proof. I've never seen proof of this in my life. But this is what people teach. Everybody's equal, equal rights, equal this, equal that. Black people have been fighting for equal rights for so long, and we ain't equal yet. Nowhere close to it. But this is something that Black people believe, equal rights. All men are created equal. And ironically enough, the person that taught them that is their enemy. And they stupidly believe it. I don't know why. They believe that while their enemy got their foot on their neck. And so I don't understand. So here I am giving a preamble. I'm giving a preamble to something I'd like to share with you all. And I hope you take this the right way because a lot of people get in their feelings and they get exhausted real quick when you start overloading them with intellectual exercise that they're not used to. They just get exhausted. And it's really sad because you're really trying to have a conversation, but you just can't do it because the fatigue sits in so quickly. So I'm going to share this with you all. And I want to see what you think about this. Now, there's this minister that I've been watching for many years, on and off, not so much of late. And his name is Voddie Baucham. Voddie Baucham. Okay. Voddie Baucham is a Bible scholar, a theologian who's, really deep into apologetics, which is basically just debating the Bible. If you just want to, strip it down to. But Voddie Baucham, he only really ministers among Caucasians, predominantly among Caucasians. Okay. I won't say only, but predominantly. Now, just take a ride with me because I want to take you someplace. Don't get emotional. Don't say, oh, he just want to argue and all this kind of stuff. No, I really don't want to argue. I'm really trying to show something. This is not just me just wanting to have an argument. No. I'm really trying to tap into something. I'm really trying to tap into some intellectual nuances. And so don't dismiss me by just saying, oh, he just want to argue. Because that's the tendency. Now, if an argument ensues, that still don't mean that that's the first thing I was seeking. Even if an argument does ensue, that doesn't mean that's really an obstacle. It's not the solution. So what I want to do here, I want to share my screen with y'all, and I want to show you something here about this minister. And I want you to take a look at the conundrum that he's in. Now it's
start talking about.
Now there's been many years since I've listened to this preacher. Hold on a second. I'm trying to share my screen with you all. And yes, just in case you're wondering, yes, I do listen to preachers that are not Hebrew Israelites. Yes, I do. Okay. So just in case you was wondering, yeah, I do. From time to time, yes, I do. And I don't see no reason not to. Okay. So this is Voddie Baucham here. Now, the last time I saw him when I was listening to him, he was not wearing a beard. As you can see in this picture, he's very much wearing a beard. Okay. And as soon, let me tell you what I started thinking. Soon as I saw him with a beard, I said, okay, he been having his run-ins with these Hebrew Israelites. I could be wrong, but I think it does have some influence on him. So he's rocking a beard. I'm like, uh-oh, he's lost some weight, a lot of weight. I don't know if he's sick or what, but he don't look real sick to me. Look like he just lost some weight. Because he was grossly obese. And he loves to cook. But anyway, and he loves to eat more uh, or equally. So he's rocking a beard now, which is really interesting. And according to what he said in this broadcast, I didn't listen to the whole thing. He's been living in Zambia with his whole family for 3 years. I'm trying to get somewhere, y'all. Don't bog me down on minor stuff, okay? A lot of times it's hard to have a conversation with somebody because you mention something in passing that's really not the main focus, and a person will fixate on that, and you can't even get to what you really was talking about because they just get distracted too quickly. And I think that's a sign of a lack of self-control. One of the things that I really try to do when I'm listening to a person, and even if they mention a hot button issue, I don't try to gravitate to that. I'm like, okay, that's probably not even the main reason why they're even talking about this. So let's get to the main crux of what they're talking about and let's focus on that. Because they might be mentioning something in passing that's not even something they trying to get bogged down in. They just mention it in passing. So what I have to do is exercise enough self-control and discernment to know, okay, what is this really about? Instead of trying to crowbar an erroneous conclusion of what is really being discussed because I'm so easily distracted. But listen, I want you to listen to what he's saying here. He practices Reformed theology, this Voddie Baucham guy.
As I was saying, that we the granddaddy stepchild of Ephesians, and that's Ephesians chapter 2, verses 11 and following. Most people.
It's really interesting that he began his conversation with the red-headed stepchild. Isn't that interesting? That's not a distraction, but I mean, he begins his conversation with the red-headed stepchild. Interesting. Let's just keep going.
And we all love Ephesians. Amen. And we all love Ephesians chapter 2. up to verse 10, right? You say things are poured up and start studying history. We just started quoting it, just reciting it from memory. We'd be good. All the way up to about verse 10. And then people
Well, let's look at this. Let's just go to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. So we know what's being discussed here. So we don't get sidetracked and get distracted and, no, we want to see what the foundation of what he's going to talk about and what he's discussing. We want to see what it's about. And let me tell you this, on his channel, the name of this video is called Racial Reconciliation. Okay? Ephesians 2, 10, and 11. All right? So let's go there. Ephesians chapter 2. We don't want to get sidetracked and we don't want to start not getting emotional. We want to go straight to what he's talking about and figure out what's going on here. Ephesians 2:10. For we are his workmanship, created in Mashiach Yehoshua unto good works, which Yahuwah hath before ordained that we should walk in them. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Okay, so that's Ephesians. And you could probably discern where this is probably going to go because you know what most Christians believe Gentiles are. They only have one definition of what a Gentile is. Now, I'm not going to preemptively impose that pattern on him, but I think we should at least entertain that. Watch this. And let me say this. It's a reason why I call this ecclesiastical buck breaking. It's a reason why I am labeling this ecclesiastical buck breaking. You're going to see why.
in the midst of these discussions about social justice and rights and sex, I was at the end of the book, the question of what does God say about that?
Now, this is a very poignant point that he's making right here. Especially when he reads Ephesians, he references Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 and 11. We're going to have to ascertain who he thinks the Gentiles are. I mean, that's actually mentioned in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 19 and 20. Who does he believe the Gentiles are? Because look what he just said here. You got to wonder, what does he mean by us? Does he mean Gentiles? Does he mean, is he meaning Israelites? Is he mean Israelites who have adopted pagan customs and lifestyles? And by default, they are another type of Gentile? What does Voddie Baucham mean? I really would like to ask him that question. But I guarantee you, y'all, I know what direction this is going to go. Us just means all people, all nations who are Gentiles. I know I'm preemptively jumping ahead because I don't know what he really believes, but I know how these Calvinists and Reformed theology types, I know what they believe. And this is emblematic of that ecclesiastical buck breaking that I was telling you about. Voddie Baucham don't know who he is, or he's grappling and wrestling with who he really is. Now, of course, in front of this audience that he's speaking to, he's got to speak on their level. He got to speak as if they're Gentiles, and he is too. He can't be up here speaking like he's an Israelite. Let's keep going. Us. What does God say about us? Who is us, Voddie? Really? Who is us? When you say us, what do you mean? Let's keep going. Now, when Voddie Baucham says all us, I'm going to go out here, I'm going to go out here on a limb. He's talking about Gentiles. Voddie Baucham is speaking probably to a whole congregation of Caucasian people right now in this video at a Caucasian church. So he's going to have to pander to that idea that he and they are by default Gentiles. This is that ideological, ecclesiastical buck breaking that I was telling you about. And by the way, Voddie Baucham is a huge man. I don't know how big, but he's huge. So when I talk about buck breaking, that's more than just a notion. See, see, look at that. He's saying who we are. When he's saying we, he means the vast majority of his audience who are Caucasian and himself. You see? You can look at his hands gestures and his postures and body language, who we are in Yehoshua.
Do we believe that the Bible is sufficient for that regard? And one of the scariest things about all of this talk is that we've been given to see that men are now seen as institutional. That's supposed to be the argument. The reality is different. But not only that, it was started to develop a mechanic to where if you're not seeing things rightly from musicians, people are not saying you need to go to this text. They're saying you need to read the Bible. You need to read hearing this, then here's a list of books that you need to read in order to then be able to read the scriptures rightly as it relates to our living with one another in Christ. Because I believe that the Bible is absolutely sufficient. Just absolutely sufficient for all matters of faith and practice. And how we deal with one another across ethnicity is a matter of faith and practice. The Bible is sufficient for that. And yet, I know this is true.
And I agree with him right there. Yes, I believe that the Bible should be our final authority in practice and in faith. I really do believe that. But he doesn't believe that, y'all. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Voddie Baucham. Voddie Baucham has more degrees than a thermometer. He's got several PhDs, okay? However, guess what? He can't accept who he is. You know why? Because most of his audience are Caucasian people. Voddie Baucham has deliberately chosen to do outreach among Caucasian people who are, by the way, our oppressors. Now, Voddie Baucham is not a Hebrew Israelite, okay? But it's really interesting that the course that he has chosen to take while Israel is in captivity is to minister to our oppressors. I'm going to let Voddie Baucham give his testimony of how he began this course of ministry to our oppressors. And when you hear his testimony about how he began on this course with his family, by the way, you're going to be able to understand why I call this, label this, ecclesiastical buck breaking. An ecclesiastic is a preacher, okay? This is the same type of buck breaking, ideological buck breaking that took place on the plantation. And you're about to see him grapple with that. Hold on a second. Let me see something. Let me get to the chat room here. I want to greet everybody that's in the room because I couldn't see you all because I was on another page. Shalom, Just Teach, Kev Mercer, Kenyan Design. How you doing? Shalom. Hadassah, good to see you all. Sounds muffled on your end. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. I want to see if you all could hear this clearly. So since you can't, I'm going to get my audio more crisp. I'm gonna have to get my Beats Peel queued up here. Hopefully it's not dead. Okay, I got one little dot. Okay. Let me cue this thing up, sync it. Okay, tell me how the audio sounds now.
Sufficient. Let me put an even finer point on it. I worry when we begin to hear people say things that would suggest that I've had the Bible all this time and I've had relationships with brethren of different ethnicities all this time. But it wasn't until I read this book that I finally understood God's heart on this issue of justice as it relates to race and ethnicity. Mm, mm-mm. That no, no, and it's not even. It's when I finally read this book, and this book was an exposition of the, no. When I read this sociology book, and so now we've got sociology overriding and governing our theology.
Now, listen to this, y'all. Governing, we have sociology, and there is a danger of this. Don't get it twisted. Yes, there is a danger of this. But let me tell you this, y'all. Sometimes you can get a clearer view of something of what's in the Bible by reading other books. It don't mean that that book is the authority on the topic over the Bible. It just means you got a clearer view. And I want to tell you why that can happen. Let me express to you why that can happen. By and large, our people, especially in particular, our people have been taught white supremacy by the Bible. A lot of times, white supremacy have been cloaked with scriptures. It's been covered with scriptures. So when we learn that we are Israelites and we start reading books like Tommy Housey Coates, Malcolm X, or any other type of book, we are actually reading about things that could give us a clearer view of what the Bible is really about. Not making those books an authority over the Bible, but the Most High can use those books because you've been stewing in white supremacy as it's been taught by the Bible, and you can get a clearer view of what the Bible is talking about. I don't know if you all are understanding me. I'm not saying that there's any book that is superior to the Bible. I am not saying that. Let me be clear. I am not saying that. But because the Bible tells us in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 that we see out of a glass darkly, watch this. Let's get off of other books right now. Let's say that you can't understand that you're Israelite because you've been sitting under white supremacy so long, and white supremacy's been using the Bible as a tool to teach white supremacy. So what happens is this: the Most High will send some information about science to quicken your mind about what the Bible is already teaching. You might start studying about DNA, cells, animals, water, and you might get a clearer view of what the Bible is already expressing, but it has been clouded. Why? Because the teachers who have been teaching you the Bible are what? White supremacists. Does that mean that nature then replaces the Bible? No. Does that mean history replaces the Bible? No. It complements it. It complements it. It corroborates it. It moves the cobwebs of white supremacy by which the Bible has been taught to us. It clears those cobwebs out the way so you can see clearer. You see what I'm saying? Is anybody getting me here? Because I don't want to be misunderstood. The making of many books is a weariness of the flesh. Yes, the making of many books is a weariness to the flesh. So what does this mean? This means that a person that spends all of their time writing books, I don't care how true the issue is or how true it is not. Yes, it is a weariness to the flesh. The Most High didn't put us here to write books. However, you can learn a lot from books. Yes, you can learn. And this is not a prohibition on reading books or studying books. But everything that we do, we have to do to the glory of the Most High. So yeah, no other book can match the Bible. Let me say that because I don't want nobody to get an impression that that's what I'm saying. No other book can match the Bible. But the Most High didn't put the Bible here for you just to study 24 hours a day. So even with the Bible, we have to be temperate. We have to be instant in season and out of season. Don't he sound like he stay around white folks? Hadassah. Yeah. His whole life is built around white folks. So let's keep going with this. Because I really want you to hear this guy's testimony.
That's not okay. That is hugely problematic. Again, I'm not suggesting that we don't read sociology. One of my degrees is in sociology. We didn't have anyone to teach our sociology class and for our undergraduates at ACU. And so for the last couple of years, I've been teaching intro to sociology. By the way, loving every minute of it because it is an incredible tool in understanding how worldview is shaped and how worldview has been co-opted. Because there are few things.
I have to agree with him here.
That have been more potent in driving our culture in certain directions antithetical to biblical truth than sociology.
I agree. I agree.
And so it is no coincidence that a lot of the texts that people are now referencing as our new canon, you know, one of the famous phrases, one of the phrases that you'll hear over and over again is, if someone is, excuse me, on the wrong side of this debate on social justice, they need to do their homework. Meaning, here's a list of texts, most of them sociology text or some history text or whatever. They need to do their homework. They need to read these things, then they'll understand. And when people are...
It's really interesting that he slipped in there on the sly history. It's really interesting that not only did he throw in sociology text, but he even said history. It's really interesting.
Preaching something that is considered to be on the right side of this issue, they are lauded for having done their homework and for the number of books on the subject that they read before they got up and said ABC or XYZ. Do you see what's missing there? The text, the text, the text. Is the Bible sufficient for racial reconciliation? And again, that
I believe it is. I believe that the Bible is sufficient to reconciliation. Now, I know already by this gentleman's background that what he thinks is reconciliation is really against the Bible. Because, see, he's thinking reconciliation is Martin Luther King, we shall overcome, kumbaya, that kind of stuff. No, that's not that's antithetical to biblical racial reconciliation. Now, the Bible tells us how racial reconciliation is going to happen. And let me say this too. A lot of people who, because Hebrew Israelites go overboard with expressing how this reconciliation is to the point that it's not even biblical anymore, that causes people to have a opposite reaction to that by saying, oh, all nations, yeah, everybody, God love everybody. They fall back into that mantra that Christianity has been baked into. And this guy shares that same opinion. Let's keep listening.
that's the catchphrase. Racial reconciliation is the Bible. Can you and I sit down with our Bibles and achieve racial reconciliation?
See, Voddie Baucham is talking about having racial reconciliation by just having a Bible study with white people. No, no, no. Nowhere in the Bible does it say reconciliation is going to racial reconciliation is going to happen by black people sitting down with white people and having a Bible study. That's not how racial discord started. It didn't start. Now, the Bible did play a role. They did use the Bible, but that's not how it was. It was through raping, robbing, killing, and enslaving. That's the standard by which Caucasian people define racial reconciliation. They define it by them being the oppressor and we being the oppressed. That's Caucasian people's idea of reconciliation. History proves it out too. The Bible proves it out.
Or are there other texts and other ideas and other ideologies that have to inform our reading of the text in order for us to achieve justice and righteousness in this particular field? That's the question. Before we get into this, let me explain something to you. I believe in racial reconciliation. I have to because I believe the Bible. Amen. I have to believe that. And
now, let me say this: when he says racial reconciliation, he's talking about he believes whether he don't know it, but he's talking about he believes in white supremacy. Because this is how Caucasian people define racial reconciliation. They are the oppressors and they have oppressed people under their foot. So this guy right here is the poster child for ecclesiastical buck breaking. Keep listening.
And perhaps it would help you to know this about me. We've been in Zambia for the last 3.5 years. The last 3.5 years, we've been in a church where most of the people look like us. Now, granted, we're foreigners, right? We're outsiders. But
so this is some very pertinent information. Him and his family have been in Zambia for the last 3.5 years. Since that time, he has grown a beard. I want to tell you what I think has happened to this brother. I think the Hebrew Israelites been on his case. I think the Hebrew Israelites have been on his case. And I think because Hebrew Israelites been on this case, he's probably had a DNA test. I'm just speculating. He probably has had a DNA test, found out some of his ancestors from Zambia, and he said, you know what? We're going to placate his conscience because he ministers primarily among Caucasian people. He said, okay, I'm going to go to Africa then. I'm going to get these Hebrew Israelites off my back. I'm going to go straight to Africa. Sorry, Voddie Baucham, that's not going to help you, brother. If you want to go to a country, on earth that has more white supremacy in it than America, go to Africa. Africa loves worshiping white folk. Yes, it is the black continent, but Africans love worshiping white people. They love it. So you don't get off the hook that easily by going to Africa, a place that's decimated by colonialism. And you think that because you're around a whole bunch of black bodies who love worshiping white people, you can cloak your buck breaking. There's no continent that has been buck broke more than Africa. Hello. There's no continent on earth where there's been more buck breaking than Africa. So you don't get off that easy, Voddie Baucham. Let's keep going.
It's been over 2 decades since my family has been part of a church where most of the people look like us.
Now you heard that? Let's listen to that again. So yeah, he's in Zambia. He lived in Zambia for 3.5 years. But prior to going to Zambia, guess what? Look what he says.
But it's been over 2 decades since my family has been part of a church where most of the people look like us.
It's been 2 decades. 2 decades since he has worshiped with people that look like himself. He telling on himself. If this not buck breaking, I don't know what is. This is buck breaking, y'all. The guy is buck broke. 2 decades. He's been only ministering and worshiping with the oppressor. Now listen to him.
And that was by design.
That was by design, he said, by choice. He chose to submit to buck breaking. You remember that scene in The Matrix where the Caucasian guy sells them out? Well, that's the buck breaking right there. He voluntarily, of his own volition, chose to make a deal with Agent Smith, I think his name is. He wanted to be hooked back up to the Matrix. You can't deceive me, Voddie Baucham. Just because you're rocking a beard, just because you went and lived in Zambia for 3.5 years, it don't mean that you're still not a sleeper cell for white supremacy. And let me say this, y'all. I believe that Voddie Baucham, he's very sincere, but he's sincerely wrong. These are the type of black people. These are the type of Israelites that you have to be on high alert of. Because I want to tell you something, there are a lot of Israelites in our midst, in our families, and guess what? They think just like this guy. They think just like this guy. And it slips out every now and then because they'll say stuff like, yeah, white people are smarter than black people. White people got more degrees. They'll start saying stuff like that and they'll be like, whoa, wait a minute. Where's this coming from? I'm going to tell you where it's coming from. The Bible says from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. They don't even catch what they're saying. This guy right here is the poster child for that. Let's keep going.
In the early 90s, Promise Keepers movement was huge. And I was...
See? Promise Keepers. Promise Keepers is nothing but Caucasian men who are hooked on porn. That's what it's all about. They had a study that came out about Promise Keepers. They said 90% of the men they surveyed themselves were hooked on porn. They actually did a survey on this. Now, this is the group of Caucasian men that he's affiliated with. Let's keep going.
Was invited to preach at a number of different events, and racial reconciliation was just on everybody's agenda. And it was a big movement. It was a massive movement.
Let me tell you something about this Promise Keepers thing. Now, he talks about how big and massive Promise Keepers was, and it was huge. But I never seen those people in the ghetto. Hello, never seen them in the ghetto. It was just a bunch of navel gazing. But see, he looks at this as a move of the Most High because it was big. And sadly enough, a lot of our people, we get tantalized by big things, crowds. Let's keep going.
And during that time, in the early to mid 1990s, here I had come to faith in the late 1980s, 1987. I was a member of a Black fraternity. I married a woman who was a graduate of historical Black college and university. I was the founder of Black Student Fellowship at Houston Baptist University, and we had been a member of and was preaching at a predominantly Black church. It was just black, 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 black. That was my world. And now all this Promise Keeper stuff is happening, and the racial reconciliation conversation is happening. And for me, it brought me to a crossroads, because I'm looking and listening and meeting a lot of my white brethren who were passionate about racial reconciliation and basically asking, how do we do this? How do we not have our church continue to look like it looks? How do we have our church, which is predominantly white, in a neighborhood that is not predominantly white, begin to reflect the broader community? I'm beginning to be invited into places where you come preach. We want to have this event. We want to reach our community. We want to reach the different ethnic groups in our community. And this is not an indictment of all Black churches. This is not an indictment of all Black.
The brother's about to slip. He's slipping, y'all. He about to slip. And I'm telling you, y'all, a lot of our Black people think like this. You probably will be shocked at how many Black people think like what he's about to say. Listen.
This is me and my experience. I looked in my circle and I realized that I was not hearing that from my side. I didn't know Black pastors who were staying awake at night because their churches were too Black.
Now he's saying that it's a problem. He's saying that it's a problem with Black pastors having a church that's predominantly Black. But on the contrast, he says it's white pastors who are staying awoke at night. They can't even go to sleep because they're worried about how white their church is. Boy, if you don't sit down, and they coming to him with questions like, "Oh, I just can't take it anymore. My church is too white, and we're in a Black community." Yeah, it's called white supremacy. Well, I don't like using the phrase white supremacy. White oppression, Caucasian oppression. That's what it is. Caucasian people know how to bring diversity. Not that I'm for it. I'm not. But they know how to bring diversity. They know what fairness looks like. Notice I didn't say equality. They know what fairness looks like. Just like they know what white supremacy look like. So why do they have to go to this guy to get answers on what not equality, but fairness looks like? Why do they have to go to him? They know what it looked like. They know what it looked like amongst themselves. But when it comes to us, they don't know what it looked like. Sit down. See, I don't. Let me tell you this, y'all. This is buck breaking. This is ideological buck breaking.
Who were on their knees weeping before they went and stood up and preached, because most of the faces that they were going to preach to looked just like them.
Y'all, please, are you serious? Caucasian people, Caucasian pastors are crying because they got an all-white audience. Stop. Stop. This is evident of this guy's buck breaking. A white pastor preaching to a whole congregation of white people, that's their form of heaven. That's their form of heaven. And this guy Voddie Baucham don't understand that? Oh my God. But black people fall into this stuff all the time. I see this all the time. It's white pastors they on their knees crying because their whole congregation is white. Boo! Boo-hoo! Oh! It's no black people here. Oh, okay. All right. You expect for me to buy that, Voddie? See, the fact that Voddie Baucham can talk about this with so much passion, it shows that he's buck breaking. He's been buck broken. I really believe he feels this. I really believe he believes this down in his heart. That's how much buck breaking. Y'all remember that movie called Django? And that character who played Samuel Jackson? That's what this guy sounds like to me. He really believes everything Master says. When Master got killed, he started crying. And guess what this guy's about to start doing? He about to start crying too. Watch.
But this is what I was running into from white pastors. Again, I am not saying that it didn't exist. I'm saying that in my experience, I didn't see it. And
What America do this guy live in? Okay. Stop, boy. But I'm going to tell y'all, believe me, there's a lot of our black people that believe everything that they hear white people say. Y'all, this is so dangerous. This Voddie Baucham guy, he is so dangerous to biblical racial reconciliation. The way the Most High is going to carry it out. Oh, he's very dangerous. He don't want to see the Most High carry out no racial reconciliation, because if he watches it happen, guess what he's going to do? He's going to end up fighting the Most High and his people. Because the Bible says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
was convicted and made a decision in the mid-1990s that my family and I would not continue to go to churches where everybody looked like us.
Now, y'all, if that don't sound like buck breaking, what does, y'all? This guy feels bold in saying that he'll no longer, listen to what he said, y'all. Y'all think I'm putting words in his mouth and just lying and just trying to get some clout? No, listen.
And made a decision in the mid-1990s that my family and I would not continue to go to churches where everybody looked like us.
Wow. Wow. This is a deeply melanated man saying that I'm no longer going to worship with people of my own nation. I'm never going to do that. And look at his facial expression, y'all. His facial expression is like, this is the will of the Most High. You see that look on his face right there? This is the will of God for me and my family and my personal relationship with the God that actually looks like me, whether he know it or not. He's saying, I'm not going to worship with anybody again that predominantly looks like the Most High. And I know black people, they love this type of talk. It's a lot of black people love this kind of talk. And the way he got this, his facial expression is indicative of buck breaking for a whole nation of people. Y'all, these are the first people you're gonna have to deal with before you deal with Esau. Whoever you think Esau is, I don't care. All our enemies, you got to deal with these people first. They're gonna sabotage everything. They're gonna say that being only with white people is a conviction of the Ruach. That's what they're gonna say. They're gonna have Bibles in their hand. They're gonna be quoting scriptures. They're gonna be giving Bible studies on the issue. Listen to what this man is saying. This full-grown man is saying about black people.
Experience, I didn't see it, and I was convicted and made.
Convicted by what, y'all? The Ruach. He's saying that he was convicted by the Ruach HaKodesh to do what? Watch this.
A decision in the mid-1990s that my family and I would not continue to go to churches where everybody looked like us. That if
Can y'all believe he said that? He's saying that he was convicted by the Ruach HaKodesh of the Most High, who looks like him, that he would no longer worship with people that look like the Most High. Wow. Y'all see, I'm trying to help y'all. I'm trying to help y'all. I'm trying to save souls. I'm not just giving a lesson, a Bible study. I'm trying to unlock minds because some of us think like this and don't see nothing wrong with it.
if I was serious about racial reconciliation, that this is something that we would do.
Now, he said if he was serious about, truly serious about quote unquote racial reconciliation, this is what he had to do. He had to exclude himself, put a prohibition on worshiping with black people. You see what the devil could do to you with the Bible? This guy's not rightly dividing the word of truth. He's not. Look how bold his face looks. Look.
Everybody looked like us. That if I was
I got to play this over.
that it didn't exist, I'm saying that in my experience, I didn't see it. And I was convicted and made a decision in the mid-1990s that my family and I would not continue to go to churches where everybody looked like us. That if I was serious about racial reconciliation, that this is something that we would do. And it was hard. It was hard. took a position.
Now look, he's going to tell you why it was hard. That's like a hyena saying, you know what? I'm no longer going to run with hyenas anymore. I'm going to run with lions. Our direct enemy, I'm going to run with them for the sake of racial reconciliation, which from his standpoint of view is really not white supremacy, but Caucasian oppression. This is the gospel to this guy. This is the gospel of the kingdom. The gospel of the kingdom is being with Caucasian people. Wow. Who lie and teach that Yehoshua looks like them. He believes this is what racial reconciliation is. That our people have to accept that God is a white man. So he's created a heaven on earth for him and his family. And that heaven on earth is being with the enemy.
At a predominantly white church. And it was tough.
You think it was tough? You think it was tough about Voddie? You think it was tough? Duh. He gonna tell you why it was tough.
We faced a lot of things. Sometimes we faced overt racism. Rarely.
You see how he downplayed it? Rarely. Sometimes we face overt racism. And then he adds, rarely. Boy, you better sit down. You might as well cut that beard off.
More often than that, it was just insensitivities, ignorant.
See how he tries to downplay it? Insensitivities, ignorance. Rarely was it overt racism. Rarely. What America do he live in?
But it was what we signed up for. And it was difficult. It was hard for my children because they were too young to really understand what we were doing and why. And it was hard to be the only black kids around.
Now you hear him, his own testimony. It was hard being the only black kids around. That shows you to the level of vitriol he had for black people. He said it was hard for his children being the only black children around. See? This is buck breaking of his own children. But I want to tell you, it's a lot of black people that love this kind of stuff. Yeah, 8:30. You see that, y'all? He put his children in harm's way. And this is a strong, robust, tall, black, linebacker size man. If this is not buck breaking, y'all, I don't know what is. And I'm going to tell you something, y'all. I run into a lot of Hebrew Israelites who think like this guy. They don't even know it. I be watching the things that they say, and I watch how they say it. Watch this.
But if I believed what I believed.
And what he believed is that white people are God. Watch this.
Then what were the options? What were the alternatives?
See, he's saying that there is no alternative. Why? Because he believes that white people are God. And so in order to have racial reconciliation, because you believe that white people are God, there's no other choice but to be with God. See? See? I hear black people talk like this all the time. I hear black people talk like this who've only been around black people their whole life. I hear it all the time. And I just like, okay, you just like, okay, I'm just gonna stand in the gap and just wait for it to, maybe it'll click in one day. But the whole time I'm watching my back. I'm like, okay, I know that this right here is not no strong foundation here.
It was difficult from another perspective as well. It was difficult from the perspective of having conversations on more than one occasion where people to my face accused me of selling out.
Now, after he say all this, then he say people accuse him of selling out. He put his children in an environment where they only around white people. And he said that that was by design, by choice. But then he said people accuse him to his face of being a sellout. Do y'all hear the duplicity and confusion here? Is it just me? Am I stretching and reaching? Y'all, this is how poisonous. This guy is a sleeper cell. Now watch it. He gonna start crying too. Watch, because of that accusation.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Because you go to Promise Keepers rallies and you will do pulpit swaps and you will do all of these sorts of things. But now that I've decided to take this to another level and make a personal commitment with my life and my family's life, I'm selling out. Then what are we really trying to do? I was accused, and this one was always difficult, of robbing the black church of its best and brightest. Now, on the one hand, thanks for the compliment.
You see the tears on his face coming out his eyes.
But on the other hand, I mean, what do I do with that?
He's wiping his face, y'all, because he's crying. He's crying real tears. Y'all, you know what that tells me? That tells me how deeply he feels that white people are God. And the only way you can have real reconciliation is if you're with white people who we believe is God. Y'all, this guy is the most dangerous. He even put his children in this environment and his wife. He didn't do this by himself. Y'all, you cannot trust no man like this. I don't care how much he crying about it. The matter of fact, crying lets you know how dangerous he is. Now he's crying because they call him a sellout. He went with the oppressors. He'd rather be with the oppressors than the oppressed. Who, by the way, look like the Most High, are the same color as the Most High, and are the chosen people. Listen to this, y'all.
Because part of me is going,
honey, bring me a lightning cord.
What a horrible way to think about the church. You're black, therefore you belong to this group. And your gifts and graces and talents and abilities belong to this group. And it's robbery for you to take them and for you to give.
See, he have that idea that everybody love everybody. But he need to go read Isaiah 14.
But on the other hand, I distinctly remember when I graduated from Southwestern Seminary, receiving a questionnaire from a Black PhD student. I forget what school they were at. Black PhD student who was doing research for their dissertation and wanted me to fill out this questionnaire because less than 15% of all Black ministers in this country, according to their research, had seminary education. So this is the research project trying to figure out, okay, what is it that led you in this direction? And what is it that helped you to stay the course? And what is it that, can you see how it'd be torn? Having conversation with my wife.
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all, don't let that slip by you, what he just said. I had to get up for a moment, but don't let that slip by you. I just heard somebody say the same thing he just said. Listen to this. I just heard somebody say this.
Of all Black.
Listen to this, y'all.
Because part of me is going, what a horrible way to think about the church.
Now remember what he think the church is. He think the church is white people ruling the world. That's what he think the church is. The Baptist, the Pentecostal, the Southern Baptist, that's what he believed the church is. With white people as the head of it, of Yehoshua's church. That's what he believes the church is. He don't believe the church is Acts 7:38. He don't believe that. Because if he believed that, he had to believe it's Black people running the thing. But listen to what he's saying here.
Black, therefore you belong to this group. And your gifts and graces and talents and abilities belong to this group. And it's robbery for you to take them and for you to give. But on the other hand,
y'all, this sounds just like some buck breaking little nigga stuff. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry my language is so coarse, but this sounds like the biggest buck breaking nigga stuff I've ever heard in my life.
I distinctly remember when I graduated from Southwestern Seminary.
You got to listen to this story. You got to listen to this story because he already said that Black people said earlier, he said Black people believe that he is their best and brightest. He's one of their best and brightest. Now, listen to how he talks now. And he said he was flattered by that. Watch this.
Receiving a questionnaire from a Black PhD student, I forget what school they were at, Black PhD student who was doing research for their dissertation and wanted me to fill out this questionnaire because less than 15% of all Black ministers in this country, according to their research, have seminary education.
Now, what you heard that? Y'all, what he's about to do, what he basically said right there is that niggas too stupid to come to the same conclusion about white people that I have. That's what he's saying. Y'all, it's a lot of Black people that think this. Oh, yeah, he's educated. Yeah, no. You got to listen, you got to read between the lines by the Ruach what this man is saying. I'm not putting words in his mouth. Listen.
So this is the research project trying to figure out, okay, what is it that led you in this direction? And what is it that helped you to stay the course? And what is it that...
Stay the course? What are you talking about, brother? What are you talking about, man? I can't call him no brother. stay the course of white supremacy? So another PhD, black PhD student gave him a questionnaire asking him, what helped you to stay the course of white supremacy? Wow. This guy's actually standing up saying this? And the stupid black people going to just, oh yeah, see, he's a PhD. Yeah, black people don't be knowing nothing. They be stupid. They not uneducated. Maybe the reason why that exists is because all the theological institutions are taught by our oppressors. Hello. And you wonder why only 15% of them have PhDs in theology? Yeah, because they got to learn white supremacy. I'm trying to stop saying white supremacy. Caucasian oppression. And then you got these other black people that say, yeah, see, he got degrees and stuff. Are y'all kidding me? Y'all, it's black people that actually think this. I'm serious.
Can you see how it'd be torn?
You see this, y'all? This is where he's torn at. Because black pastors, only 15% of them have PhDs from their oppressor. Wow. And this is something he's torn over. Oh my God.
Having conversation with my wife and children when certain things would happen.
Those certain things, y'all, is called Caucasian oppression. He don't want to say that because the people that he's speaking to right now are Caucasians.
Constantly having that wrestle and that struggle with, is this tokenism or is it real?
It's tokenism. It's not real, brother. It's tokenism. You're buck broken. That's all it is. Just live with it, brother. You're trying to quiet your conscience.
And regardless of what it is this the commitment or is it not?
So he's implying here that the reason why it's not tokenism is because only 15% of pastors have PhDs in theology from their oppressor. And because he's among that 15%, it's not really tokenism. You just can't find really qualified ministers filled with the Ruach because they didn't go to a white theological institution. Boy, you better sit yourself down.
And if I do have a problem with the way people understand me or don't understand me, can I simultaneously fault people for not understanding me and then not make myself available so that they can have a relationship with me and learn to understand me?
Now, he already let you know that he's not making himself available to black people. He already let you know for the past 20 years, he's not letting his children or himself be accessible to black people. So guess who we got to be talking about? Accessible to white people. See? So they can understand him. That he is buck broken theologically.
How dare you white people who don't have relationships with black people not understand us? Do you see the dilemma?
So he's saying, he's rationalizing here.
Relationship with me and learn to understand me. How dare you white people who don't have relationships with black people not understand us?
So he's saying, he's implying here How dare black people who don't spend time with white people not understand white people, justifying the course that he has taken as being buck broken. Wow. This guy, woo, boy, woo. Talk about some witchcraft.
You see the dilemma.
In other words, the dilemma he's saying is how I'm going to understand white people if I'm not around white people 100% of the time, to the exclusion of my people. See, y'all? This is white supremacy thinking here. These things gonna start popping up on my screen. I hate this. I wish I knew how to stop this.
And it's a double-edged sword because, ironically, now that part of my history is often leveraged against me in this entire discussion.
You think you only want to be around white people. You only want your kids around white people. And now that history, that part of your life is leveraged against you. And you said that you did this by design, choice. Bro, you better sit your...
You don't get a voice in this discussion. You don't get a dog in this fight because you abandoned your people.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you what he's saying. He's saying that he should be an authority. He's saying that he should be a foremost authority among his people because he abandoned his people and went to the other side. He's implying that he should be the go-to type of person. For matters on racial reconciliation. Y'all, that's the most dangerous thing that we've done. That's what the Congressional Black Caucus is, y'all. That's what Operation Push is. That's what Frederick Douglass was. W.E.B. Du Bois. And I'm going to even throw somebody else in here. Elijah Muhammad. Remember, Elijah Muhammad and them, the Nation of Islam, used to be linked up with the Ku Klux Klan. Hello. Just in case you forgot. All that black talk, and guess what? They was linked up with the Ku Klux Klan.
I just want you to sit with that. And
so because his audience is mainly Caucasian, what he's looking for is white approval of abandoning black people. That's all he's doing right here, y'all. I know this guy's sincere. Lee wrong. Y'all, this is the most dangerous type of sleeper cell that exists among black people.
I want to answer the lingering question. Why would you do that? And what do you hold on in the middle of that when it's hard? Ephesians chapter 2. And in the time we have left, I want us to just walk through this and see the truth from God's sufficient word about our...
I'm not going to look at this whole thing, but y'all, I'm going to tell you, we got so many black people that think like this. It's ridiculous. So many. They don't even know they think like this. You try to bring them up to this and try to explain it to them, and they start fighting you about something that really ain't about what you're even talking about. And this guy's in my generation. He's my age. And this is how passionately he feels. If Caucasian people had any inkling about racial reconciliation, guess what they would do? They say, you know what? Y'all are God's chosen people. We mistreated you. And now it's time for us to be punished. What say ye? Do you hear Caucasian people saying that? Nope. But guess what you hear black people saying? Forgive, love, turn the other cheek, and all that little stuff. Love your enemies and do good, all that stuff. Y'all, this guy is so dangerous. This guy is so dangerous. He raising a whole bunch. I think he got about 9 children. He raising a whole bunch of baby coons in the name of Jesus. Y'all don't think that there are not Israelites that think like this. Don't think that. Whenever you see an Israelite and they got an elder in their camp and he's white, they think like this, y'all. Moshe ben Yehuda, shalom to you. Exactly. A lot of these old Jakes and Eves love these damnable societies. Most of them will fight you to keep Massa society alive. That's what they will do. Y'all, I just had to come on here because I wanted to share this with you. I got to go somewhere else. But I just wanted to share this with you, y'all, because it's just so sad. It's so sad that a lot of Israelites, I know this guy's a Christian, but I didn't show this because this guy's a Christian. You got a lot of Israelites who believe that if they're going to be saved, white people have to be saved with them. They don't even want to go to heaven if white people are not there. They don't want to love God if white people are not holding hands with them. That's all I'm saying, y'all. This stuff run real deep. And it's really interesting that when you try to express this kind of stuff, that the conversation automatically gets derailed. You already got a path that you're going onto. You're trying to break this down, and then as soon as you bring it up, it's like the unholy spirit in them says, you know what? I know where this is going, and they'll derail the conversation and make it something else. It ain't even about conversation. Ain't about that. I want to tell you why that is. It's because of this same spirit that this Voddie Baucham got. Voddie Baucham. And I want y'all to go look at the rest of the clip, because I haven't looked at the rest of it, because I want to see where he goes with that Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 and 11. Because, boy, you know he about to do some witchcraft on that. But anyway, I hope that this man, Voddie Baucham, he gets to see this video. And I hope it come up on his feed so he can see it. This is some buck breaking here. This guy is buck broken. Notice that all the objections that he brought up was based on what the oppressor was doing to him, not what he was doing to them. Notice that. Notice all the downside to him trying to squeeze in on their side was based on what they were doing to him, what they thought about him, the insensitivities that they were throwing towards his way, not what he was basing towards their way. But yet he said we should join them. Wow. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a beautiful day. This is Prophet Roe Nabi. I just wanted to sit down with you like I was in my living room, because I always, as a child, wanted my parents to sit down with me and like break stuff down and tell me the real secret of what's going on, read between the lines. But I never got that privilege. So since I didn't get that privilege, I wanted to sit down with you all like brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and show y'all what's really going on. Well, anyway, you all take it easy. This is Prophet Roy Nabi signing out, saying shalom. You all have a wonderful day. I'm out.